Hi, this is Bill Hader.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Bill Hader. Bill Hader.
Hey, I didn't see you there. I can't see you there because this is audio only. So I am the most unfancy Deej Barons.
And I'm your co-host and gentle, soft-spoken life coach, Casey Killingsworth.
And you have come back to us at We Are Hater. And thanks for coming back. If you've been here before, if you're new, come on in. We got lots of stuff to talk about. We're on the SNL side. This will be the season 33 episode hosted by Jonah Hill. His very first hosting on Saturday Night Live with musical guest Mariah Carey. Not only is it our 40th episode, yay, double digits, we have a guest, Ajax, who is the co-host from Cover Wars, the most intelligent, insightful, and just plain fun podcast about warring covers. Thanks for joining us, Ajax.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be on here talking Jonah Hill and Mariah Carey. What a great episode this is.
Indeed. We're recording this on Friday the 26th. This is the day that today is the premiere of Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness, which is a limited series sketch show about American history. In episode 6, we'll be featuring Bill Hader as Abraham Lincoln and Kathryn Hahn as Mary Todd Lincoln. So that should be fun. Let us get on to the episode of this season 33 of Saturday Night Live.
A little bit of basic background info on Elliot Spitzer. 2006, he had just been elected to governor of New York. But this week, he had to resign. The press had just published his patronizing an escort service / prostitution ring known as Emperor's Club VIP. And I think Deej told me this, or I might have heard it elsewhere. Bill once admitted to being lightly chastised by a writer of this cold open for not having an Elliot Spitzer impression in his back pocket.
Bill was on Late Night with Seth Meyers and explained how he was approached that afternoon to do the impression.
Hey, buddy, you're going to have to be doing Elliot Spitzer this week. It's going to be the cold open. It's just going to be you, Downey wrote a Spitzer thing. And I said, who's Elliot Spitzer? And the look on your face was like, why did we hire this guy? It was just like, all right, man, just look at the tape, have fun, it's going to be great.
It's a parody of the press conference where Elliot Spitzer announces his resignation. But in this version, he's announcing his new gig, opening his new private practice law firm, Spitzer and Associates.
When you find yourself in legal trouble, particularly of a distasteful, deeply humiliating nature, you need a good attorney in your corner. An attorney who will fight for you, however undignified your case, and fight ferociously without shame or embarrassment. No one will fight harder for you. And believe me when I say, I am, at this point, incapable of embarrassment.
Bill did nail the impression as expected, and he even got down the very Clinton-esque frowns and lipless grimaces a real Spitzer made during his press conference. And even Kristen, with 0 lines of dialogue, really nailed and enhanced the various death stares of just sheer white-hot rage and disgust that the actual Silda Spitzer had during this press conference. Interesting note, Spitzer's then deputy governor, who would be stepping up to fill in for him in her life, was none other than David Patterson, who would become a big recurring impression for Fred Armisen over the next few seasons, to some controversy, and he would end up doing this impression in tandem with Bill's Elliot Spitzer. So for better or worse, this would be the launch of a minor recurring impression for Bill. Bill as Spitzer was really funny, admitting he's now incapable of shame and listing various examples of cases he would take.
Have you suffered a slip and fall in a gay bathhouse? I would be honored to handle your case. Have you been injured by a defective motorized masturbation device? We'll take him to court, you and me. Has U.S. Customs unfairly seized your shipment of German porn? Let's sue them and get it back. If we succeed, we'll make history, the two of us.
The all-time worst case scenario, the dreaded dead hooker,
so did you
not
mention
getting
that
a
Bill
reach
said he
around
was
you
really
paid
nervous
for.
after?
And
Like,
at one point he got a phone
you
call,
cannot tell
and Kristen
at all.
checked
Like,
his
he
phone.
nails it, like
Your
you said,
client
Casey. I
admitted
mean,
she
he just
inserted a
perfects
knotted
it,
handkerchief.
and
Obviously, there was an implied
and
promise of
Kristen's
removal.
facial reactions are just so well
okay.
done. I mean,
Okay.
again, without
Yeah.
any
Well,
lines
here's my
whatsoever,
counteroffer.
the
You,
reaction of her
by
just
this side of
standing
the
there,
road,
and
wrapped in
every
plastic.
time Bill Hader's character as Elliot Spitzer.
But they were just blowing
and
smoke.
by the way,
They were gonna
Elliot is
settle. And I also like how
Eliot, single L,
the
single
Live
T.
from New York was
very
executed
strange.
with
An
just
excellent
no
time
sudden
capsule
breaking
moment
character.
of one of the strangest.
And we zoom in on Bill and then
strangest
pan over to
events
Kristen
in political
frowning.
history. I love
before
this open in
the
under 4
opening
minutes.
titles.
I mean,
We'll let our
that's what a
guests
cold
jump
open
in
should
first.
be always, in my opinion. That's as good.
Agreed. You don't need to linger on things so much. Yeah, I love this cold open. And people like me and like Bill, who have a lot of anxiety, we can be very good at masking that. We're crumbling behind the scenes and inside, but still we managed to get the job done. It's written by the legendary Jim Downey. I just watched Downey wrote that last night. Bill had said in that he has a very specific cadence of with the way he writes things, but that he can come up with this impression. And this was the same day thing. It was in the afternoon of the Saturday. Bill has said Jim Downey was the one who told him about handles for impressions. That's why he has a lot of older Hollywood impressions, because they have obvious handles where people these days don't really have them. Kristen, in the background, you're going to feel her rage through the screen. And that one bit of checking his phone when it rings up, absolutely wonderful. This one makes me laugh all the time. Beautifully written by Jim Downey, classic hater, and that he was able to learn it in a day, absolutely brilliant.
Next, we're going to talk about MacGruber, which I know you must be thinking, that's Will Forte's thing. This is a Bill Hader podcast. Well, MacGruber's usually in 3 parts, and most people who saw this episode might think, well, this is the only MacGruber that had 2 parts, but this did have a 3rd part that Bill was in, only added to the reruns later, and it was viewable online on NBC.com for a very short period of time. But Deej did some digging and found the clip on Reddit, borderline lost media up until this point. This might have been the weakest MacGruber at the time, very thin premise, but over time I could see how it's relatable. Jonah Hill plays this week's male sidekick, Isaac, and Kristen Wiig is Vicky. He's the first MacGruber they did without Maya Rudolph. This week, Gruber's letting his insecurities and neuroses run rampant and wild this week because he heard from a friend that Isaac has been telling people that MacGruber is bad at his job, which is no secret. I mean, how has he actually lived long enough to have that thought for himself, given his track record with bomb defusing? Tries to call Isaac out on it. He lets himself get distracted with this week. Part 2, he's gone from being insecure and paranoid to just snippy and belligerent about his total incompetence and has taken to lashing out at Vicky and Isaac. I like the opening shot of him just strolling by and casually flipping the bird to the camera in the intro. He has to tell himself he can do this, but he just can't decide which item looks best to defuse a bomb because they all like they can help. Ask for a chamois to cry into, screams at Isaac, and this isn't easy. You think you can do better? Well, I literally couldn't do worse. Isaac just takes everything. Isaac does a good job of just delaying the explosion by 2 seconds. In the third one, MacGruber has just become so mentally and emotionally broken down that he doesn't trust anyone except his new life coach, played by Bill, to talk him through everything, kind of like a kindergarten teacher, just very gentle and soft-spoken. Even wears a diaper, as seen in the intro. He's just wandering around in a daze, confused, wearing a diaper.
MacGruber, the door's bolted shut.
That's not all, MacGruber. This ammonium nitrate bomb is set to blow in 20 seconds.
Hey, MacGruber, do you want to say something to them? No, I'm not going to tell them that because you can defuse the bomb, MacGruber. How about we do this together, okay?
15 seconds.
Okay, let's start asking for supplies, okay? A chair. That's a great idea, MacGruber, yeah. A chair.
What? Come on.
We don't need your negativity right now. You're taking small steps, but they're big steps, buddy. That's good, MacGruber.
You can't defuse a bomb with a chair.
What's your name?
Isaac.
Isaac, let me let you in a little secret. You can do anything if you put your mind.
And that's it. And I was a little irked that this was as hard to find as it was. Kind of a thin premise, but I like that they were able to escalate even this. Really good use of Bill, a decent, if not minor, twist on the normal MacGruber formula. So,
I mean, you check all the boxes there, but I really, what I love about MacGruber, there's so little time to cram so much story into that what I've always loved about the MacGrubers is that they change the lyrics of the theme song to help you out with the story, like what's going on in the development of the three. And so I love, the thing I like the most about the one that's so hard to find is, like you mentioned, wearing a diaper, where that's in the theme song where he wears a freaking diaper now. You know, it's like, oh, like what? Like what? So your mind is just trying to process that as they go into the scene. And it's so stupid and funny. It's MacGruber. What are you going to do? So yeah, I love it.
Back in the 70s and even the 80s, where the theme song explained the premise of the show for a sitcom.
Right.
It's an art form unto itself, which seems to be lost these days.
I miss it. I
do not see why they had to cut the third part. There's some sketches later on that I think they could have cut down a little bit to make room for this. And even if not, if you're going to do it online, like on Peacock, why not add it back in so it's complete, so we can actually see it? I love his look, the way he has the hair is, gentle, and the vest and everything. I'm swooning as usual. He's using that nice, gentle voice, and MacGruber's all very quiet. The one constant is they say, 20 seconds, but the time they take to discuss all this stuff is more than 20 seconds. Like, the bomb should have already gone off. The human trafficking control room. Putting those things with control room together, MacGruber is also kind of stupidish, but then again, that's part of its goofy charm. Jorma talk Will into doing this. I can tell in the writing, this is very, very Jorma.
Now we're going to move on to, and one that he apparently helped co-write with Seth Meyers and Jonah Hill.
Bill told me this story about how he was at a Benihana with his dad one time, and there was this kid who he couldn't tell if he was like an infant or like a 50-year-old guy, and he would talk he kind of talked like an adult, but he thought he was a kid, and the guy did like the crazy, the chef did this thing, and everyone's clapping, and the kid just goes. Like, that's how he clapped, which is like such an old grandpa thing to do. And so Bill and I just started doing this bit where it's like, hey, kind of an insult comedian, but like a 6-year-old. And so we told that to you, and you and Bill and I got to sit in your office and write that. And it's been one of the coolest things in my life that the 3 times I've hosted, I've gotten to, play the same character. That's so cool,
The other cool thing is that we have conversations like this that are so dumb and we take them so seriously, which is the first time you were 6 and then you came back like 4 years later and we're like, is he still 6? Is Adam Grossman?
Yeah.
4 years have passed, but he's still...
Lauren was like, he should be 9. And remember, we were like, I was like so scared, and I was like, Seth, I really believe he should be 6 years old. And it's funnier if he's 6 years old. And you were like, and it is funny to get in arguments of whether this Benihana kid should be 6 years old or 9 years old. That's our job.
And you care so much about
That's what we do for work.
And then I come to you and I'm like, Jonah, he's okay with 6.
Yeah,
like,
we celebrated. Yeah. We literally celebrated.
Adam Grossman playfully roasts Sushin, their chef, played by Fred Armisen, their waitress, played by Amy Poehler, and the other patrons at their table, played by Jason and Casey Wilson and Kristen Wiig. This would go on to become a recurring character for Jonah when he would host most of his future episodes, and he would do about as many of these with Bill's character as he would without. Then they introduced Vanessa Bayer as his new stepmom, and then in his last hosting gig, Leslie Jones, his nanny, who he, for some reason, shouts the lyrics to old reggae songs, old Jimmy Cliff, Bob Marley songs too. Honestly, I could see an actual 6-year-old behaving in public like this, talking to people loudly, maybe not acting like Don Rickles or some old Borscht Belt comedian while doing this. So I guess there's a bit of a relatable charm to this since it was based on a real life occurrence. And whatever you think of Jonah Hill nowadays, you do have to admit he turned in a fine performance here. I mean, it was pretty much designed for him and seemingly only him to chew the scenery right from the get-go. But still, I liked his Disney Channel rants. Those were funny. And roasting his dad.
And she's not interested. Bad news, Dad. The recon mission did not go well. Nary a blip. But stick with the old sports coat and sour face. It's doing wonders for you. It's a joke. Lighten up.
For drinking Chardonnay and having a collection of Hall & Oates ticket stubs, which is a funny reference to hear just weeks after we did our Yacht Rock episode. And another great example of Bill's great facial acting, because he did a fine job of maintaining his bitter, sour facial expression and conveying this sort of pent-up, impotent rage of a recently divorced dad who obviously views himself as semi-emasculated and out of his depth when it comes to even responding to, let alone controlling, his inexplicably articulate son, who just likes to loudly roast him in public like everywhere they go is the Friars Club from like 1961.
Yeah, first of all, I love this sketch. This is, when you think Jonah Hill on SNL, you go to Adam Grossman, the 6-year-old, and it immediately, I mean, you can tell this is like his showcase. There's so much dialogue here, too. I mean, it is impressive how much dialogue there is and how well he gets it all out. Again, like you said, whatever you think about Jonah Hill, you got to give it up to him for this. This is good. This is good stuff right here. And Bill, the restraint that he practices. So you mentioned his facial expressions the whole time, but I mean, that's one of those things that it's the unspoken Bill Hader moments too that make him so good. It's like, yeah, he just let him shine, sitting right next to him, like just eating it up. I love some of these lines, like the Zach and Cody.
Would it kill you to get cable? I'm 6 years old. A little Zach and Cody goes a long way. Ladies, are you familiar with the work of Zach and Cody?
Sorry?
It's about 2 twins that live in a hotel. They have a butler. I'm stuck here with Mr. Personality. It's like living with Paint if Paint cried and complained about how expensive gas is.
He calls Hannah Montana a minx, and then that's when Bill goes, because that's the one little jab he can see. He can get under his skin with it.
Adam actually has a little crush on Hannah Montana.
Oh!
He has a little thing for Hannah Montana that just sets him off too. Oh, we're giving away secrets now, are we? And oh my gosh, there's just so much rich comedy to mine here, and the writing is so good, and it just keeps going. And you think, right when you think it's like, all right, well, I think I've heard the funniest line, there's another one that's even funnier. This is hands down one of the best sketches of this era, in my opinion.
The can't believe I had love this series this much. The numbers with the hands. 3 of them were done with Bill. Bill had left the show, going out to Benihana with the step-on, played by Vanessa Bayer. And the last one was Leslie Jones. And the reason why he was doing the reggae thing, because he kept saying that his nanny was from Jamaica. Very similar to what Kristen did in the cold open. This is another thing that Bill is so excellent at. Acting with his eyes, especially in Barry. He's embarrassed, but he's trying to keep control. Another one line like being...
How am I? The same way I am the third weekend of every month, Sushin. Living it up Las Vegas style on the couch of my dad's condo. Relax, Dad, it's a joke. Seriously, though.
Cringe a little bit at Sushin. It's a very minor part of the story. So I've often wondered, too bad they didn't take a chance to get Adam Grossman and the bar mitzvah boy in a sketch together.
That would have to be a pre-tape because they can't pull it off live if they also need Vanessa to play his stepmom. So they would have had to, work around that by pre-taping it, I would think.
Yeah, why did they keep going back? It makes you wonder why can't they pick a different restaurant or something? I mean, I know, understanding the source material now, it kind of makes a little more sense, but they could have moved it somewhere else, right? I mean, come on.
Well, not necessarily, because I remember when Bill would relate a story about the Kissing family, how they wanted to set foot in an airport. Lord basically nixed that because the setting that they have in their home is what's part of the familiarity for the audience. And I can see where they would go to Benihana because like I said, just a stone's throw from his dad's condo. And when he goes to visit his dad, that's what they do. They go out to Benihana, speaking out of divorce, totally get it.
And plus, he does mention that his dad is always complaining about the price of gas. So through divorce, this in many ways is literally the only place he can afford to leave the condo to take his kid to. And since you brought up that Kissing family story, I think I'll try to paraphrase this on Mike just because I don't know if Ajax has heard it, but Mulaney was the one who kind of lost his cool with Lauren. He's like, fine, just tell me where else we can set this. And then the next time Lauren saw him and confronted him, he told him this very vague story about how when Johnny Carson was moving the Tonight Show from New York to Burbank, Ed McMahon was complaining about how he wanted a new contract and a new deal. And Johnny was basically threatening him to, look, you're going to take the deal we give you or we're going to let you go and you won't get to come to Burbank because you won't be on the Tonight Show anymore. So that's how Lord communicates. He never loses his cool. He just makes veiled threats in the form of just odd showbiz parables because that's what he does.
Yeah, I was about to make the same parable comparison to Godspell, which is a big part of when I was first meeting with Bill. It's like, I knew a guy who was funny the way Bill Murray is funny. And I thought to myself, I know Bill Murray. The fuck does that mean?
Bill's last appearance in this episode, I believe. It's the digital short, Andy's dad. Jonah just walks into wardrobe to ask Andy if he wants to go get a cup of coffee and have a little chat about something not related to the show as he's being fitted for a very foppish outfit. Jonah Hill must break the difficult news to a soon-to-be broken Andy Samberg that after Jonah met Andy's immediate family last week when they went to dinner, he really hit it off with Andy's father, Ben Samberg, played by the legendary Jim Downey. They each went back to get a scarf or something, some personal item. They decided, well, we're not tired, so let's just grab a beer. And they had a fascinating conversation, just hit it off. Jonah Hill is dating Andy Samberg's dad, and yes, it has gotten extremely physical as we see through clips of them making out on a park bench and then Jonah laughing as he puts in a tongue piercing to give Andy's dad a blowjob. And his face is a brittle mask trying to barely hold back a wave of conflicting emotions.
I gotta be honest, man, I'm really not cool with this.
I know it sounds insane. It sounds nuts, but This isn't just some fling.
You're dating my 57-year-old father.
Why is everyone freaking out about the age thing? You sound like your mom right now.
There has been a lot of hacky LOL gay humor done on SNL over the years, but this isn't quite that. And it may not help on one level that this also adds a layer of, ew, May-December romances, am I right? But only the Lonely Island could pull this off successfully while actually conveying the real emotional and psychological depth and heartbreak of this, while also being funny. And Andy's a good facial actor, too. His performance really made this work. Yeah, and like Bill with Adam Grossman and Benihana, he's both facially and verbally conveying an impotent rage and helplessness to change a new hellish situation he finds himself in. And I think Jonah's best lines here, and even if I lose a friend, I'd like to think I gained a son. But on to Bill's appearance, the whole reason we're talking about this sketch. Ben Samberg walks in at the end to tell Andy that they're dating. Jonah says he already told him, oh, blabbermouth. And then Bill walks in.
Hey, Ben, way to go. Andy, Jonah, how do you guys know Ben?
He's my dad.
Small world. We've been f***ing.
Bill turns and smiles to the camera, and right next to him is a credit created by Lorne Michaels, and we're out. And that may feel like a bit of a hat on a hat, but it does break whatever treacle there was to break for this to end on a high note. And oddly, the only ending or button that could have worked there anyway, in my opinion. So that's the digital short.
I mean, what a doozy of a digital short we have here. Yeah, I actually really like the created by Lorne Michaels at the end. I think it's hilarious. Everything about this, it's just the setup and escalation are perfect. You got Jim Downey, of all people, like of all people. And, like you get some people that maybe know him, people who like watch SNL all the time and know who the writers' faces are and all that kind of stuff. But of course, back when, we had the first citywide change bank, Jim Downey shows up every once in a while. So, but you're kind of taken aback. You're like, who is this? And then the fact that Andy goes like my dad Joe's like he's trying to explain it to him. I love the line where Jonah's like, he's like, coffee, I don't even drink coffee. Ben's got me trying all kinds of new things these days. I'm just like, oh my God, because you just start vivid pictures and then you get the scene with the piercing and the going down. You're just like, oh my God, like they're just painting these pictures and then they're showing them and then you're just like, oh, you don't think it can escalate anymore, and then it keeps going and it keeps going. This is a perfect digital short. It's so insane and I love it.
Excellent perspective on escalation throughout. They talk a lot about episode on the whole on the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast. Downey did not hold back at all. So we know he's a very dedicated performer. I love Andy so well because he's my dad. Perfect petulance. The one thing I love about the Bill Hader button at the end is the music at the end is reminiscence of the theme they play at the end of The More You Know that turns to the camera. It's really hard to put words to how that ending just really affects things. Jim Downey, as a writer and as a performer, he definitely can miss the bit. That's a show unto itself.
Non-Bill moments. I have a few small notes on, just start with a monologue where Jonah explains, well, you may know me from Judd Apatow films like Superbad and Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin. And you may think from those that I'm just that dirty and crass in real life, but I'm actually an incredibly fancy gentleman. So he has a whole song, like a walk-in-esque song and dance number to back this up. It's a type of song and dance number that Jonah Hill at this time seemed a little out of his depth in being able to pull off, but I hope that's part of the joke. It seems like a half-thought-out concept, but a valid one that just, loses something in execution. One spoken word break that I will mention is, well, he had lines about how his favorite book is leather-bound. I don't even care about the words as long as it's leather-bound. His butler brushing out his pubic hair and calling his farts the vapors, and then he actually brings in Amy Poehler as his grandma Nancy.
Oh, he's fancy.
The real reason I want to bring up this monologue is that it seems like a bit of odd foreshadowing in that his next monologue from 2012 would be based around how much of a pretentious dick he'd become after, doing Moneyball and Apatow-less Oscar bait films, and that his next monologue in 2014 would involve an actual cameo from Leonardo DiCaprio. So I guess in some ways Jonah Hill was actually able to become fancy just by a combination of sheer luck and happenstance and having the right connections to be in the right place at the right time. Bit of an eerie coincidence that we get that monologue here.
Yeah, I actually like this monologue quite a bit. I miss the song and dance numbers. I mean, we don't see enough of them in today's SNL. And you get humble Jonah, like you get corrupted Jonah. Like he's actually stepping out. He said, I want to take a minute, take this all in. And he means it. And you feel it. And you're like, wow, this is Jonah Hill. So watching back, you're like, that's a different Jonah Hill altogether. But yeah, I thought it was really well done. You got Keenan, you got Forte, you got Andy and Jason out there with them. The line where he sings, I got so much class that it's coming out my butt. It's so stupid. You mentioned the butler brushing out his pubic hair, and then he goes, every morning, I love this, the call and response. It's just really well done. So the little dance thing he did, I don't know, that was kind of Sandler-esque. That I could have done without, but overall, I really enjoyed the monologue.
The bit with the mustache on his on his finger, it's very cute. This didn't last as long as it's many longer than the other two. Now, on one SNL day, they were complaining about another musical sketch opening. It's like, so what? They're fun. They can be a lot of fun. So let's embrace it once in a while. Us music nerd people, we need that once in a while.
We also get the debut of Kristen Wiig as Susie Orman, a CNBC financial advisor who gives viewers bizarre tips on saving money, like you can bring your own food and wine in bags to restaurants wherever you go. Me and my partner live in our dressing room. She wears a lot of flashy, leopard print style jackets, and she shows us a photo of herself outside of the place in Phoenix where she gets them. And it's a Photoshop picture of her with Paula Pell, who I assume just straight up co-wrote this with her. When she does pass on, she's gonna give all those jackets to homeless women to wear to fancy restaurants. Forte is a retired man who's got thousands upon millions in stocks and retirement and bonds, and he wants to explore Europe. She tells him,
An unskilled financial advisor would look at your profile and say, Arrivederci, Phil, but oh no, not me. You want to see all of Europe? Fly to Florida, go to Epcot Center.
Jonah is a guy who wants to know if he and his wife should sell his house and buy a dilapidated hospital on San Andreas Fault.
I don't know, mainly because I've always wanted to have a hospital.
Kenny, over my tan-faced, pale body, are you to even think about going ahead with this deal? It will ruin your life as well as your future.
I already did it.
You, sir, are a full tilt dumbass. And now it's the end of the show. I got to go to court. I'm being sued by a woman who claims that the brightness of my teeth blinded her while she was driving. It caused her to drive into a pond. And one of Kristen's stronger impersonations and characters from her early years at the show. It's just a shame that the show would only view this impression as relevant for a short window of time where our country's economy was really crashing and burning like no one's ever seen. I honestly like would have liked to have seen more of it later in her tenure, but I guess once our economy stabilized, people weren't paying as much attention to Susie Orman.
Yeah, I only picture Kristen Wiig when anyone says Susie Orman, which nobody really ever says Susie Orman anymore, but we have another pretentious spelling. S-U-Z-E is Susie, S-U-Z-E. She mentions that she's out walking her cat, and then, yeah, you mentioned Paula Pell in that picture. That's Joanne's Phoenix Jacket Junction. I love the fact, though, that they bring out that stereotype that really it's such a cliche with these call-in shows, and anytime there's finances involved, it's always somebody loaded. It's always somebody that's unrelatably hugely rich that's trying to, what am I going to do with all of this money that I have that you can't relate to, that you would never have. So it's just funny, the people that need the financial advice, they already have a lot of money. But it's also one of my favorite lines from this is,
if you don't hold on to the money you have now, life is going to pull your pants down and punch you in the money bags.
and that's just good mantra right there. I love that. So yeah, I like that you mentioned, why couldn't we see more of this? Because yeah, I think as a character, I mean, even if you don't know who Susie Orman is, this character is great, and she nails it. So love it.
I believe that her name is actually pronounced Suze.
Really?
Yes. I just Googled it, and yes.
Wow. Well, in that case, it is the right spelling. Okay, it's not gonna see. If I knew that, it wouldn't have driven me nuts. So thank you for telling me that.
Sorry to make sure I say her name wrong for all that. I didn't mean to. Very good impression. I don't have a lot to say.
Just a few quick things to say about Mariah Carey performing "Touch My Body" and "Migrate" with T-Pain. Well, just your typical standard R&B-ish pop diva performance you got everywhere this time. That "Touch My Body" song reminded me, hey, Jack McBrayer was in the video for that. That was pretty fun. And I got a kick out of just suddenly seeing T-Pain just leap on the stage for the second song. And here's a fun fact about this episode. Mariah Carey was not actually the original musical guest. She was a last-minute replacement for Janet Jackson, who had caught the flu and had to back out.
You know when SNL's doing really, really, really well is when you say, oh, shoot, we can't get Janet Jackson. Who do we get? Oh, Mariah Carey? Okay, sure. Like, what? It's like, yeah, that's a crazy good replacement right there. Okay.
A few jokes I like. Seth actually delivered one of my favorite jokes of him from all time.
Yesterday was Pi Day, which is celebrated by mathematicians because March 14th, or 314, is the value of pi. So, yeah, I was pretty hungover this morning.
Tap water joke was fun, just from how Amy recovered from her Brita filter flub.
According to a new report, a cocktail of more than 15 drugs, ranging from pain relievers to veterinary medicines, have been found in New York City's drinking water. The good news, you can now freebase your Brita filter.
Almost swore. The Brilta's not as good.
Mitt Romney saying that he would make a great vice president for John McCain.
Which was an odd response to the question, so, how do you like this weather?
There's a joke about an updated version of Beverly Hills 90210 coming to CW, which they already have. It's called
One Nosy Gossip Tree Creek.
a really segment on the Elliot Spitzer scandal. At this point, the Elliot Spitzer prostitution scandal felt like one of those situations just so ridiculous on its own that any more jokes being written about it would have felt kind of pointless. So these didn't feel so much like jokes as much as they were like presenting the facts of the situation as they were and expecting people to laugh at just that because that was ridiculous enough on its own. I did like Seth's joke about how Elliot Spitzer wanted to have sex with a hooker but not wear a condom, but he was client number 9, which wouldn't be a big deal if you were client number 1, but you're client number 9. I wear a condom when I'm number 9 in line at the deli. Amy had a joke about his wife can stand behind him, but she doesn't have to just glower and grimace. She can make goofy gestures like the peace sign above the head. She can make the crazy thing with the swirling fingers. She can make the jerk-off motion, hold her fingers together, the classic sign for tiny dick. Tracy Morgan has a cameo commentary about how Barack Obama's race is called into question. I liked some of this, but other parts it felt like he was trying to do one of the types of fun commentaries he would do from when he was on from 97 to 03, trying to capture lightning in a bottle, only be captured once. I did like Tracy explaining how he's way blacker than Barack Obama. For example, he used to smoke Newports and drink Old English and was raised on government cheese and actually prefers it. But I did like the line he ended on, even though it's one of those things you could only say in like 2008. In response to Tina coming on a few weeks ago,
Bitch may be the new black, but black is the new president, bitch.
And we end weekend update on that.
See, I'm completely opposite from what Casey's saying. I love the really, as a concept, I love really. It's all about the delivery and the way they work off each other, because those two have always had really great chemistry. Because one of the things I wish they had done more of was the couple that should be divorced. And Tracy Morgan they just let the man cook. Tracy Morgan is an entity unto himself, and he'll always be there. But he has a very strong opinion about things, and is not afraid to say them. So this is a perfect thing for him to comment on, and that black is the new president, bitch, is the killer line.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much summed up quite a bit there. A lot of these are, the jokes that write themselves, just kind of like the Anthony Weiner scandal, the whistleblower was having his whistle blown. I mean, that's one that I think many could come up with, but I still love that Amy said it. She also mentioned, she throws out a Captain Superdong in there somewhere. I like that. But yeah, I thought Tracy was great. I thought, I mean, his everything you mentioned. And then at one point, comparing like why is Hillary thinking that she can be president? How is she president? Because she's the wife. Like, that's like Robin Givens being the heavyweight champion of the world. Just like, oh my gosh, what? So, like a Mike Tyson pull, is that what that was? So just crazy stuff there.
An NBC special report, breaking news. We get the return of Will Forte's Brian Williams. It's nice to see this. It's not exactly a dead-on imitation from the debate sketch from a few episodes ago, but I can't think of any other newscaster impressions from around that time I would have liked to have seen deliver the sketch. But Brian Williams breaks into regularly scheduled programming to deliver this bombshell report that then 71-year-old presumed Republican presidential nominee John McCain is in fact extremely old. And we get the debut of Daryl Hammond as John McCain, which would be a major political impression in the debates this season. Has to respond to these allegations, and they bring in guest analysts, 68-year-old Gail Parker, played by Amy Poehler, 70-year-old Jeffrey Greenberg, played by Fred Armisen, to confirm yes. And yeah, I'd be curious to see if Daryl's John McCain holds up and serves any debate sketches, as well as kind of another very thin, unambitious premise that is kind of saved in execution. I like the evidence being presented, a $5 check for penny candy, Forte questioning Hammond's use of the phrase brass tacks. That's something only old people say, but the presentation of this just barely saves the idea behind it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I just did not like the placement of it. Anything political post update for me, I'm just like, okay, why are we back to politics? And the second half, like I really just, for some reason, I feel like this should always be an up top piece. However, like you said, though, I mean, I thought the execution was great. I mean, we have a fantastic impression by Daryl Hammond, one of the great impressionists, and he just he's so spot on with John McCain here. I didn't know that this was his first time doing it. Like he just nails all of his sensibilities. So yeah, really, really enjoyed that. We also, the fit as a fiddle too. He brings that up. That's another thing old people say. So yeah, I mean, I didn't love this. This is probably the one cut I would have made and maybe thrown in that third MacGruber. Is what I would have done.
Agreed. Absolutely. This went on way too long, but talk about prescient, especially in the Biden-Trump era. They thought John McCain was old. Look what we got now with Trump. This is the kind of thing that we're even still talking about today. So that's just what this was not really needed that much. I would have rather have all the MacGruppers together.
Yeah, those are valid takes. And then we get Jonah Hill as record executive Tim Jackalpappy, promoting the new album, duets between Clancy T. Baccarat, played by Will Forte, and Jackie Snad, played by Kristen Wiig, two legendary country singers singing songs about spaceships, toddlers, Model T cars, and jars of beer. Do you like the odd specificity of this that they're going for? Others have professed to be fans of these sketches. They're growing on me, but they didn't quite hit me the same way at first that they did for some others, but appreciate them. They've gotten funnier over time. I did like the idea that their last song is being billed as America's new national anthem. Honestly, the only thing that's had going against it was Jonah was not great as like a country album pitch man, but that's something that they can easily fix in the future with subsequent hosts. So
it's like this was written for me. The irreverence is off the chart. It's silly, stupid, ridiculous nonsense, and I absolutely love it so very much. My favorite thing about it, every single song, every little song that they perform has to include those four subjects. It has to have spaceships, it has to have toddlers, it has to have Model T cars, and it has to have jars of beer. So as you go along, as you're listening to it, you're in your head, you're checking them off. You're like, okay, wait, you didn't say toddlers yet. Okay, there it is. Oh, he didn't say jars of beer yet. Oh, and there it is. My favorite one was the sad duet where Jonah's character as Tim Jackalpappy says that,
but get your tissues out, because the second you hear this one, you're gonna literally cry a beer jar of tears.
He starts singing about how he buried his spaceship and his toddler gave the eulogy. It gets so ridiculous. Oh, like just beyond anything you could ever imagine. And it's just everything that I love about these fun sketches. These speak to me in ways that I can't put into words.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does not speak to me. I love Will Forte. Don't get me wrong. He's a presence. He's a great collaborator with Bill. But this has never done it for me. For this, they cut out the third MacGruber.
So for me, though, it would have been the previous one we talked about. But no, I can also tell you, though, that I 100% understand that it's not for everybody, but it is so for me. But I totally get it.
Not everything is for everyone, but you're going to find a lot that you're going to like. Definitely want to talk about the one sketch you don't really see very often, because there was a final one cut. Casey Wilson was severely underrated in her time on the show. The game show sketch that was done earlier in the show, she's definitely so charming in this. They met him through online, and he's going through all the things that he said on his profile. He's explaining them in the worst possible way, ending with that she likes talking about her boobs.
Hey, Dean.
Yeah.
I have a confession, too. You know when I told you I had identical twins in my family? I meant my boobs.
No. That's why I came.
So I think they probably went on to date after that. I don't know. But it's like, justice for Casey Wilson, please.
It actually is available on the Peacock version now at the very end. So yeah, I just rewatched it in order to take some notes. So, and I found, I'm like, oh wow, it is actually on this one. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of amateurish stuff mentioned in here from Jonah Hill's character. It's also poorly blocked. It's called Face to Face, and they're not and that was kind of bothersome. So the cuts, though, when the camera cuts were well done. They should have done that through the whole sketch, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, there were some funny lines in here. He mentions that this is a very old tech time capsule moment when he mentions that he works at Netflix and envelope receiving, and your mind has to go back to, oh yeah, pre-streaming, Netflix sent envelopes of movies, actual discs through the mail. So it's like, oh yeah, that was a thing. He was talking about the YouTube video him and his buddies made was called Pudweiser instead of Budweiser, and he got 41 non-me views, which is hilarious to me because, you know, you think about people trying to get their view count up, watching the video over and over again themselves, or just letting it repeat. But he had 41 non-me views. And there wasn't a whole lot here. It was more a lot of like amateurish stuff with penis and testicles and a lot of you know, third grade humor going on. But there were some funny moments.
Yeah, I agree with Ajax's take there. If you haven't seen the Peacock end of this episode, I don't think you're missing a whole lot if you haven't seen it, but there are some decent moments when Jonah explains his non-genitalia-related lies. There's also one where he says he was not in a production of the Vagina Monologues.
No, but I did listen to a woman tell me a monologue about her vagina on 34th Street. I later found out she was a vagina peddler.
There was a beat where Jonah calls out Casey's untruths in a way that flatters her. Well, you know, you're taller than you said you were. You said your average looks, and you're actually smoking hot. The ending was very charming and semi-heartfelt. Casey asked, why can't people tell the truth online? Maybe some people are afraid if they did tell the truth that you would be reluctant to accept their invitation for a night of steaks and human interaction. So another thing that didn't have much to live up to, they play a bit differently today for various reasons. It is, you know, worth seeing at least once if you can find it, and that's this episode of SNL. To me, overall, it felt a little bit odd and uneven, but to their credit, they tried a few different things, and the fourth show in a row out of 4, some of those things paid off, some didn't. Jonah was a fine host, didn't exactly blow me away, but pretty good for a first-timer, and cast usage was pretty decent. Forte and Wig probably had the best nights out of anyone else. Surprisingly light night for Fred Armisen and Kenan Thompson, though. I don't think we saw Fred Armisen as the Sushin, which I think might work because he's actually part Japanese in real life, but I don't think we saw Kenan at all now that I think of it. Do either of you have any just general thoughts about the episode as a whole?
I think that this is a great episode. I think the writing and the performances really, really do it well. And I mean, we're talking about some standout moments here with the 6-year-old first sketch and Andy's dad, Digital Short. I mean, these are two, I think, of the best moments of this entire era, and that's saying a lot because this is like one of, if not the best eras in SNL history. So for what it is, I would give this an 8.7 out of 10.
About the same for me, but I do believe this is a very good episode. Jonah was a very capable host. Bill getting himself out there, getting his first, technically not solo cold open, but you kind of needed the Kristen back there to really make it completely work. The fact that he can get that impression done within the day is just so incredible and indicative of talent. The birth of Adam Grossman. The other things they did later on were, one was cut, one was a little shorter, but just for those 2 sketches alone, and I've watched those sketches a lot of times. They have a compilation of the Grossman sketches online. I do love how they eventually progress. I believe that should about do it for this episode. I want to thank very much for Ajax for coming on with us. Promote your podcast.
Yeah, I host a Cover Wars. Well, it's called Cover Wars. I host a cover song specific podcast where we find you the best covers of particular songs. You can find us at Cover Wars Podcast on YouTube, and we have new shows every week, every Monday. And we're on all the streamers too, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. So check it out if you like music, if you like cover songs.
Cover Wars is very much like you said about Saturday Night Ladies. required listening if you're a music fan. But seeing all the different takes there can be of many songs out there, both of you guys together really have a great chemistry. And I gotta say, Ajax, I love your voice.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You have a very awesome radio type voice. So that's one of the things that keeps coming back, not only because of the great content that you have. Casey, what's up for our next episode?
Going back to Documentary Now Season 2 side of things, we'll be reviewing the second episode of Season 2, Juan Likes Rice and Chicken, and we have been in talks with a very special, I'm not going to say who it is on this episode. You'll have to wait and find out, because I don't want to spoil it and then find out that, oh, this person can't make it due to scheduling conflict or whatever. But it's someone who reached out to us, and it's someone that you may not expect. So, and we have a few future guests lined up, so just prepare for the summer of guests, and more guests on We Heart Hater. Speaking of guests, I'd like to thank Ajax for being a guest on our podcast. You were a great addition to the show. We love what you brought to us. I'd encourage our listeners, if they haven't, to check out me and DJ's episodes of Cover Wars, and I talked about the Turtles Happy Together in my episode with Ajax, and I bring that up because I want Ajax to hear this before we end this recording session. As we're recording this, I had just attended Weird Al Yankovic's last concert at Red Rocks a few days ago. Puddle's Pity Party opened for him. They both covered Happy Together as a duet, which we talked about, and now here we are.
That's awesome. Everything comes full circle, you know. We got Weird Al. I actually knew Casey from a Weird Al forum, completely separate from Saturday Night Network, and then I saw his name, and I'm like, there's only one Casey Killingsworth. Come on, that's got to be the same guy, and it was! And I was so happy to find out it was Casey.
Oh yeah, that's another great thing about your show, the parodies you do every freaking week.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, obviously it's inspired by Weird Al, the king of parodies.
We're all big Weird Al fans here. We'll be here in Vancouver in the summer. I don't know if I can afford to go.
Yeah, I mean, just like every concert, it's almost out of everyone's price range at this point. Take out a second mortgage just to pay for concert tickets at this point.
Oh yeah, don't get me started on second mortgages. But I have seen him live 2 times in the past. I met him meet and greet backstage with him. Well, one great story with Weird Al. I was working at Virgin Megastore in Vancouver. That particular week, my grandmother had died. Was off on bereavement leave, and one of those days was the night of the concert. He was very, very, very soft-spoken in person, but I got his autograph there. But apparently, he had come into the store when I wasn't there. And the one thing people knew about me is I'm a big Weird Al fan. So he had personally signed a copy of Running with Scissors, which was the album he was promoting at the time.
Oh, that is awesome. He's the greatest.
Thank you for joining us for episode 40 of We Heart Hater. I am Deej Barrett and will continue to be.
And I will still be Casey Killingsworth until I'm informed otherwise.
Ajax, who do you heart?
I heart Hater.
And Casey?
I heart Hater as well.
So it's unanimous. We heart Hater.
We heart Hater. It's what we do.
And I like to think we do very well. So there we go. Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you for listening to We Heart Hater. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. We Heart Hater is a presentation of Wacky Notion Productions. Created by Deej Barons. Hosted by Deej Barons and Casey Killingsworth. Recording and editing by Deej Barons. Intro and outro music by Music Unlimited, used under Creative Commons license, courtesy of pixabay.com.